I am Monica Chaudhary, the founder of Learn Beyond Vision, and along with me is my co founder, Dr. Anita Arvind. We all have gathered here to discuss something which we have been going through, I think, more than 3 decades of experience. It's a realization which happened to us now. Realizing that we were graduates from optometry and we were always fond of the clinical subjects, especially in retiring from AIMS. The focus was too much clinical, clinical, clinical. And in the end, we realized, yes, had am I so good with dispensing? Is my knowledge as good as dispensing? Because the patient sitting next to me is asking me everything when I prescribe that glasses to them. Not only that, there are other things. I also feel personally that had I had good exposure to dispensing, maybe I would have had a clinic set up where I could have been earning much more or could have made a better practitioner if the knowledge was good. Do not deny that, yes, there is a background of dispensing knowledge with me, but there is far more to go for each one of us. The reason I talk about it is because as an academician and also leading the program sometimes, we had an impression that the optometry students are never keen about learning dispensing. Not all. You can count on fingers out of the batch who really took interest in dispensing subject. Secondly, the dispensing subject is barely a 2 credit course, which is small enough, and I don't think it makes them market ready or industry ready when they graduate out. And what we find now is we find lot of opportunities are coming in employment more into these optical chains. If I talk about US, the optometrists are working in big chains like Lens Crafters and others, but they practice optometry. It's not like that they leave out optometry and become dispensing opticians. The second is the dispensing opticianry a very is not a regulated one, and we do not see good opticians everywhere or around. Our good refraction prescriptions are not handled properly by the opticians, and we as clinicians may not have guided our patients well. It's a typical pattern that we see the young graduate who comes out, or a student or an intern who's just learning to be a good clinician but just misses on the dispensing tips, indications, or recommendations to the patient's prescription. So, since this is a subject where we are going to be talking about, and it's a subject which has been taught for the students, and hence the whole session today, I invite Malika, who's a fourth year student, to be representing the student body and talking to the best of experts and many senior optometrists who are here to help them understand what is the relevance of dispensing optics in optometry. I hope the panel we conclude, we understand, yes, there has to be a balance, and that's what we want it to be understood. I hand over the mic to you, Malika, to take over and host the
I'm
session of
Malika
this panel.
Abbas, a fourth year student from Sushank University. Currently, I'm doing my internship at my hometown. I feel extremely privileged and honored to be given this opportunity to welcome my dear panelists and to moderate this session. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you present over here, especially our panelists who have been giving us their amazing, gracious, very important time. Thank you for the audience who has joined in time and who has been punctual and sincere. And definitely this whole session is going to be eye-opening, fruitful, and worthwhile. Let me briefly introduce to you our panelists for today. In no particular order, let me begin with Mr. Rajesh Wadhwa sir. He is a renowned practicing optometrist and owner of Wadhwa Opticals. He is a very humble teacher and he always has a smile on his face, which is such a charm to see. Secondly, We have Mr. Yashwant Sauji, sir. He has a touch of humor anywhere he goes. Even his Facebook is filled up with little jokes on optometry. He is a senior optometrist and educator at Sauji Vision Care. Thirdly, we have Mr. Ajay Shinde, sir, educator and optometrist at Shinde Eye Clinic. Congratulations, as this has completed 28 years of excellence and vision care. I welcome most respectable Mr. Sujay Dangi, sir. He is an independent consultant, formerly business head and vice president at Vision Care Rivioli Groups. And he has served Titan for 11 long years. And he has interviewed me also once long time back. I wonder if he remembers. We have Ajay Mishra, sir, with us, who is vice president of GKB Optical and the business head. We have Priyanka Singh, ma'am. She has been the national training manager and head of knowledge management team in Lenskart. From academia, we have Dipanjali Banerjee. She is an assistant professor from Sushant University. She has been my teacher. We have Mr. Fani Krishna. He is very, very nice and very sweet teacher. I have been lucky enough to have had teachers like this. We also have Ragini Mishra, ma'am, I think, who is the HOD, who has been the HOD in Era University Department of Optometry. We have this amazing panel, and I would like to thank Monica ma'am and Anita Arvind ma'am, who has brought us all together. We have a perfect balance of people who can impart exact, adequate, specific knowledge we need to know in this whole topic, which we are going to talk about today. So as we know that we are going to talk about dispensing optics, right before the meeting had started, we were just talking about how dynamic this whole field is. And actually that is the best part of our profession, of our community, that we are evolving at amazing high rates. And we have so many new things to learn and to know and to improvise in our life and practices. But whom do we learn from? By the time we graduate, the things we have studied in college has already become obsolete in the market. So how do we get on together? How do we bring in all the new and old, basic and modern things? This is what we're going to talk about. I have collected some questions, and from students, I have taken ideas from various students. So it's not just me, it's various other students also who have these amazing questions, which are very genuine, which is a very genuine concern of students when they graduate. So dispensing optics is a subspecialty of optometry, wherein you advise the most appropriate optical solution to the patient, tailoring it to the patient's visual need and their lifestyle. Dispensing optics and dispensing optometry has taken a high flight, and yet here we are, not even fully aware of the full potential and importance of the subject itself. There lays a deep gap between what we are taught in college and what the market has ready for us. This gets tricky for the new graduate and students. So hereby, I have collected some questions, and I think I will proceed with asking the first question right now. So my first question is, in this era of heavy capitalization and advertisements, how can a new setup compete with big MNCs and brands? Can you give some tips which can be helpful for us in creating and polishing our own space as a newbie in this huge industries with big companies like Titan, Lenskart, etc.?
I think we should be ready when the opportunity strikes. When the opportunity strikes, it's not that we start working towards it at that moment and opportunity will be gone. So opportunity strikes when you pass out and you go to your own setup. That's the opportunity. What do we need to do before that? Why do we miss out on dispensing part when we are students? Because our psyche is, the student psyche is, I should look like a clinician with a white coat. I should get respect of that, and I should not be called a salesman. Well, that is absolutely wrong. I personally had prepared contact lenses in the lab with lab technician when PMMA lenses were there. And that knowledge of having sat with those technicians and learned has come a long way. Even today, I understand any contact lens and its geometry because I created it with my hand. We need to put our mind, our final target will be when we sit in the clinic, we will advise the patient when you go to the optical dispensary, this is the lens you will take. And how do we know that? We must know what is commercially available. And where do we get that knowledge? We get that knowledge by interacting with various companies who are suppliers of lenses. Just talk to them either on phone call or have a visit. You go there or they come to your university or something and they tell you what lenses company A has. How are they different? And another company also tells you that. Many people can dispense less than one diopter of spectacle spherical prescription quite accurately. But as you go higher and higher, especially in progressives and prisms where the revenue is only you or us, the qualified optometrists who will be able to understand what to do with the lens and what material to use. So I feel how we can compete with big brands is very simple. A rabbit, if you need to change the policy, rabbit can turn in a moment. An elephant takes a long time. When wherever in market you are and you see this is what customer is looking for, change your policy in 1 minute. Tell them, okay, today I am giving you an eye exam at half the price or whatever. Or today I am going to give you a lens cleaner free of cost with the spectacles. Or for next 10 days, I have this scheme. You make it right there. A big brand will have to communicate this to say 50, 60 outlets and have a budget of 50 times more than what you have. So every time the customer comes to you, it is you whose face he sees. In an MNC, he sees different faces every time he visits. So you have the advantage of building up that one-to-one relationship and he'll always look for you.
See, actually, as an independent clinician, I knew that I really don't have the bandwidth to start something like what the chain stores which you named in your question. So if I want to compete with them, I just need to be different. It's very simple. And how different I can be, I think I should just need to magnify my strength. And my strength is my clinics. So I do my examination here. And as Rajeshji also said, I sit and counsel the patient regarding what kind of frame they have to select for themselves, what kind of lens. Then I call my staff inside my consulting room and I tell them, this is the refractive index I want, and this is the range of designs that you need to show this patient. And when the patient goes outside in the optical dispensing area, he selects a frame. And after that also, he is not allowed to select the frame what he likes. He would select maybe 4 or 5 frames and I would select, or I would pick the right one for him. So at every point in time, at every stage of dispensing, my clinical knowledge is being used. So there are clients for everyone. I mean, there would be a set of people who would be impressed with chain stores because definitely they have a huge range of frames. But my clinical knowledge, which I'm very sound at, some patients would want that. So there are customers for me and there are customers for them. I think this is how we just need to have that subtle differentiation between them and us. Of course, if you have the bandwidth to compete with them, you can go that way also. But I just took another route and I think I'm fairly successful.
What Yashwant said is what I completely agree with. Your clinical skills is what plays a major role as a good dispensing optician as well. So to begin with, you should be well equipped. Now, it's not only within your clinic, how you do your eye examination procedures. It is also that you have to step aside, go out into the optical stores, guide them not only with just a small range, but with the entire wide range of whatever you have to showcase to your customer. And then after the frame selection, everything is done. How you actually go about in marking, precise marking, what are the steps that you follow? Then how you explain the quality of lenses and what is benefiting him. So if you as an optometrist are able to step aside, go outside, talk to the client or the customer, and then explain what is the importance of the product you are advising or recommending to him. That's right from the beginning till the end. If you're able to take him through, that has a big lead over all the other chain stores or the big names that are there in the market.
So, understanding the whole theme out of it is yes, there is an opportunity, definitely, and that's why we invited you to help them understand yes, it may not be like the chain stores, but within the independent practices, it's
Very well explained, actually. To hear all that was very inspiring, and it's like nice to know that no, even we can do it. It's not that hard. All it takes is very conscious hard work in this whole area. My second question is, what is it that the companies and chains like Titan or Lenskart, etc., teach in 1 month training program that 4 year bachelors can't teach to the student? So and so that they become good and excellent in dispensing within 1 month or something, and 4 year graduate student is not able to defend themselves and their choices. Well, what is it, what makes the difference, and how can we bridge this gap?
You see, for the first question on how, luckily I have done 15 years of clinical individual practice, and I have done almost 14-15 years of chain practice also. So luckily I have been exposed to both sides of the coin. So hence I may be able to add some value to the students here. So what I've written here is, first of all, there is a very large consumer base in India which is growing leaps and bounds. So no matter how many opticians and optometrists keep increasing, there is enough for everybody in the pie. There is enough for individuals as well as for chains, as Yashwant and some of the other colleagues have pointed out. That's first point I'll say. Then you need to be able to compete as an individual practitioner. You need to find a niche like Yashwant and some of the others are doing, where a particular specialty or a certain market segment or a certain product segment and so on. You can't do everything. You need to take a few products and become a master of it, and then you get famous for that and people come searching for that. Then you should focus on quality of service and personalized service, because for large chains, giving a consistent quality of service in 600-700 stores is difficult, whereas that individual practitioner can give a good quality of service and a personalized touch to that, and the human element, as in the human factor of it. I trust my specialist rather than I trust the name Titan, Lenskart, or whichever, right? Then specialized practice, again, there's a 80-20 principle. While many of us are doing specialized practice, the fact of the matter is that even in a specialized practice, 20-30% of our cases are specialized, and you get famous for that, and the remaining 70, which may or may not be specialized, also generate a lot of revenue because you're using the specialized practice to attract regular customers. What I mean by that is, suppose you see a keratoconus patient, he will have a progressive customer in the same family, or a child requiring glasses. So through that one specialized practice, you need to suck up the remaining regular practice also. Then you, of course, everybody has said upgrade your knowledge continuously, but what is important is to pour that knowledge back into your practice, means utilize it for your customers. Then it is difficult for chains to implement something like somebody said rabbit. Rajesh ji said rabbit. It is very difficult for a large chain to execute a new product or service overnight, because there's a lot of logistics involved to do that. Whereas an individual can quickly, like a rabbit, turn. So the elephant and rabbit example I like very much. It's true. Another thing you need to do for private practice is networking. In your local catchment, you need to network with your ophthalmologists, with your healthcare providers, with your community, Rotary, Lions, all the clubs, schools, and do cross promotion with your neighbors, because that again, at a national level for large chain, it becomes difficult to do. And image building, you should have a specialist image. People should come asking for you. And one last point I'll make, and then I'll move to the next question. I had attended one HBR session on strategy, where a very learned person had come from US and presented to us at the management. And what was the essence of that 2-hour lecture was that any product service of any category anywhere in the world sits in only two baskets, and there is a pendulum. So what happens is brands lose their foresight and keep on swinging the pendulum from somewhere between quality, value creation, and price. So one needs to decide in whichever clinic you are, where you want to sit, because if you keep on shifting between price and value creation, you will lose the battle. There are very few companies who have managed both. For example, Apple, BMW, these are 4 or 5 companies you can count on your fingers. Otherwise, either it's a lens card talking about price, or it is probably maybe a Lawrence and Mayo or a Titan or somebody else talking about quality and a premium being charged for that. So you need to be clear. You can't keep shuttling is my advice. Now going to the next question on training, and I'll make it quick. So in training, somebody asked, what do they train in Titan, Lenskart, and others in 1 month, which you can't train in 4 years? So the fact of the matter is, in our 4 years degree, we have many subjects, but again, dispensing is given very little value. But it is not just dispensing. In the 1 month training program, there is a technical and non-technical part. The technical part largely covers generic and product and service, which is to do with the eye, lens, frame, and so on and so forth. But the non-technical part often gets ignored, which is also very relevant, where there is, we have soft skills, communication skills, etiquettes, business metrics, retail metrics, competition information, customer relationship management, various consumer segment and their behavior, how to handle objections, sales process, problem solving, customer psychology, and so on. So there are so many, and a visit to the lab and factory, an entire value chain of how a spectacle is made, an entire value chain of the customer journey is in detail taught in these programs. And last but not the least, I'm saying that just a BOP degree on the wall will not help you, my friends. You need to apply the knowledge that you have acquired from various sources to be able to make sense by doing something like features, advantage, benefit. Consumer is not interested in your degree. He's interested in how you can use your knowledge to give him better vision. So if you focus on that, in my entire career, I have got a pile of certificates, but nobody has ever asked me for a certificate. Neither the patient nor when I went for interviews to any, nobody has asked me. I've gone with the file of certificates. In any interview, nobody's asked me for a certificate. Because when you speak, your knowledge should come out. And then the consumer says, boss, this guy is a guru and I'll do what he says.
Add on what Sujay sir said, uh, uh, the things which are taught in 1 month are slightly different how it is, because first we have people who are passed out optometry, they have done the entire course in detail, comprehensive, and after that we start training with those people for a month. So in that 1 month, the difference is that we only covered those important points, and the training is very focused on customers and clients, and also that knowledge is imparted which is important for as an optometrist professionals. While in the optometry course, you are taught as a student more like as a theory part, But here, the most important part which is covered after we cover the theory, but another important part is the OGT, which we call as on-the-job trainings. So the concepts which were given in this short period of time, 1 month of time, in the form of a capsule, is being practically implemented in the stores. These people are posted in the stores and they are being exposed to the customers directly under the presence of a trainer, which make a huge impact, and they learn a lot when they are being given a practical customer interaction on the things which they have learned in the classrooms. So that makes a huge difference. You keep learning on concepts, you keep learning on gaining on certain skills, and then you go and implement on the job in the stores and see the live patients, customers, and implement those concepts, fundamentals, which help them to become a better professional as an optometrist.
It's more of the soft skills that you are doing, and live patient interaction. It is like talking or the understanding the language and communication skills, which is very relevant when they come into these field practices.
Thank you, Sujay and Priyanka. I always believe that 4-year bachelor course is the foundation of dispensing. If we are talking about dispensing, so we are making foundation in this 4-year bachelor course, and 4-year bachelor course is the foundation. Companies like us are building a multi-story luxury apartment on that foundation. So I am in a, I am also in a recruitment process since last 17+ year. What I must congratulate each and every academicians and institute, the quality of dispensing, I would say, have improved drastically, especially since last 1 decade. I have seen earlier we were struggling. People were not aware what material, what is the significance of PD, what is the significance of pentoscopic tilt. At least now people, when I'm going for recruitment, these young optometrists, they are aware of what is away number, how it is relevant when it comes to material. So it is not that academicians have not, they have upgraded themselves, and therefore I can see that reflection in students. So I would say foundation is still the key. Now, what we are teaching in 1 month, which institute cannot teach in 4 years, if that is the question, guys, we are not teaching anything new. What we are teaching is, we are teaching our culture, we are teaching which is grossly missing in institute. What is missing is like how do you communicate with your customer? How do you profile that customer? And what products currently available in the market? Because that is something what institutes are lacking grossly. What, the current product and their features are available in the market, that must be taught to optometrists when they are on floor, because they must know the customer whom they are dealing with, what kind of lenses he is wearing, and then only they can solve their problem. If for example, customer is pilot and he must be wearing some progressive, and he says that, well, I'm facing this difficulty. What lens you will suggest to this customer if you don't know the feature of existing lens? So you must know the feature of existing lens, what he is wearing, and then the feature of better lens which you are going to propose to this customer, to suggest to this customer, right? So these nitty-gritty, these products and features we are teaching in 1 month, provided the basic is complete. If the foundation itself is not good, which is basic dispensing foundation, first place companies like us, they are not on board. Still, if they are on board with some companies, they struggle a lot, and then they blame institute, they blame companies, and so on. So guys, if you are a student, especially 4th year student, stick with your basics. If you know the basic, we can build definitely a good luxury apartment on that basis.
My third question is that what are the basics of dispensing optics? What makes a good dispensing optician? And how do you know that you're good enough to take up this field?
Dispensing is actually the same person being fully responsible for dispensing is very, very rare and difficult. We have to have the right frame selection in which your support staff helps you. You have to take the correct measurements of PD and the correct frame for that specific lens, which you will guide. And then after you've done that, the lens should be fabricated perfectly. So you rely on a lab which gives you good lenses. And while fitting, all these markings should align with what you had wanted. The centering and all, the person who is cutting and fitting, who is actually doing the whole placement of lens part of it, should have understanding of how the centers are important, and he marks it and places it accordingly. And while handing over the glasses finally after checking to the patient, the optometrist himself, if he can dispense, many questions will be instantly answered. It's not just the product what is required, it's the training and understanding and guiding the patient how to use that product, for example, the progressives, and then only it works fine. And at the time of booking of the spectacle, the realistic expectation should be told to the patient. For example, if you are dispensing Fresnel lenses, it's good to show a sample for patient to feel. If you're dispensing bifocal, good to show a sample. Okay, this is what you expect. It's only when the expectations were different and we did not pronounce fully And later on, the patient, although fully well dispensed spectacle, patient is not happy because the expectations were different than what realistically was there. So this all goes into dispensing of spectacles and should do fine.
So my question is for our dear teachers. I want to ask, what do you think? What is the students' attitude towards this subject? What is the general awareness? Do we really take it for granted? Do we really not care? Because it's a 2-credit score, matlab, usually, and I want to know what can we change on our end while we are in the university itself so that we are better prepared for the market.
Thank you so much for bringing this point. So when I interact with people, so the concept what they have regarding dispensing, it's very restricted. They are like, what need to do? Nothing much. Just to go to the store or the optical, then choose the frame, put the lens and deliver to us. But this concept only have to change, and these changes can be done by our only beloved students. Being a teacher, suppose I started to teach the dispensing optics, and I only limited myself with only the diffractive index and frame materials, lens materials, single vision, bifocal, and progressive lens. So I completed my whole syllabus in just 5 circles, nothing much. So what the student will think that they will think that I can start my career in this limited portion only. How they will build up their confidence much. If I myself being a faculty only limited that I don't want to spend much time with the dispensing and I don't want to teach the students much. Similarly, related the attitude point, I would love to add that PCB and PCM students are also enrolled for this course. So PCB students, they have the concept that optometry or the optometrist means I only have to touch the clinical part. I don't have to do any calculation point or any office-based task. But the PCM students, unfortunately or fortunately, they have to be enrolled for this course and they don't have much idea about it. So whatever the scheme is there, they are ready to be adopted. So when I teach the students, so I have been faced the issue that they are like, I have the family business. So whatever the small tricks is there, my father, uncle, brother will teach. So nothing have to study much in this classroom. But this is completely a myth, because some trick point maybe they can be covered, but what are the corner point and the enlarged portion that can be covered in a classroom, in a scheme based, in a curriculum based only. So I always tell my students, if you want to keep your clinical portion in your right hand side, so your dispensing skill also should put in your left hand side, because when you turn on your entrepreneurship skills or you want to set up your own business, you have to touch from the refraction, and then whatever the process you have to follow up to the troubleshooting, you only have to be handled. You can't think that, okay, I just did my refraction and then I hand over the prescription to the sales girl or the salesman and they will be taken care for the same. Not at all. The whole process have to be taken care by an optometrist.
Basic thing is we should first understand that they are adults, and we should tell them about the importance of each topic before we touch upon it, so that they can take it a bit seriously. That's the main important aspect I want to add on. And one more thing I felt is most of the time, because countries like India doesn't have any particular training sort of thing for opticians and all. So there is huge responsibility upon the optometrist itself, which is taken up by all of us. But usually students think that clinicals are more great, they will get more respect kind of thing. And we don't have anybody, like opticians can take care of the dispensing part. So what is our need in it, etc. These are basic inhibitions in them. And I also feel there are few discrepancies in perception of students also broadly, especially in relation to the diploma kids who are joining for degree. They thought they're only here for just a degree. They already know everything, but it is not the case, which is true all the time. So few things they should learn, and adding to the existing knowledge that they have, whatever they are supposed to do. That is one thing. And again, the topics and the outcomes that you are expected from each topic should be made clear before we actually start teaching the topic. Like, let's say if we are talking about availability of bifocals or progressives, we should able to tell the child before we start about availability that, see, when somebody comes to you tomorrow in your clinic, you should be aware what kind of brands and what kind of solutions are available in the market so that you can choose out of them which is suitable for the patient. And you can give him a precise or suitable product that can be dispensed appropriately to him so that he will be happy that you suggested him to take up with.
I think that's the most crux where we want to come in. And within the audience, I see some big people who can answer this question to us. I see Mr. Ram. Of course, he's been heading SLR and into Hoyas, and now is the advisor. I see Sanjay Tiwari also being part of it in the panel audience today. In fact, this question we should ask. The academicians I know is not going into the practical part. They're not handling counters. They are handling the theory part. Can it be possible, because they need to update, so can it be possible industry can come forward to help the education be more in totality and given more practical tips?
Yeah, thank you, Monica. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a very interesting subject. It's a complex subject, as it seems quite simple, but I guess it's been evolving over a period of time. But it is certainly improved, and I've seen many of the people, also the panelists had mentioned about the way the industry has moved in India, which is commendable. But I would like to just touch upon something where the industry plays a role already, be it contact lenses, optical spectacle lens companies and all that. There's a lot of companies which have basically a lot of training programs and so on. But there should be something which is neutral. It should not be brand specific or something like that. It has to be coming something beyond that. And maybe that's where, probably learn beyond vision and some organization like this can play a role to bring in a larger perspective rather than brand perspective to look at what ideally suits the consumer. And that's the way we should look at it from that angle. Just one quick point, which I think India, today, we are in a stage where India is growing and there's a huge opportunity. There is definitely a difference between a dispensing optician and ophthalmic optician. And today, as optometrists, you fall in the category of, though we don't have a law, but you fall in the category of the ophthalmic optician. So what does ophthalmic optician definition stands for is basically to prescribe and dispense glasses and to detect eye diseases. Are we doing this? Because today, when you go to an optical store, many of the optical stores basically do not go into this aspect of it. They just look at how do we look at closing the sale from the commercial perspective rather than looking at it from the diagnosis perspective. And this is where optometrists can play a large role in trying to expand their horizon and to make it more meaningful for them. And this is a larger issue, which I think I strongly advocate that we should not have free eye testing offered to the consumers, because commercials and you will never see the value for an optometrist if it's offered free. So this is my personal view, but I strongly feel that so. But I think the market is evolving. So this is, in a short note, what I feel.
I think you've triggered another discussion point in it. Very rightly said. Yes, we when we teach as academician, we get into trouble saying that how can I teach brand specific and be more partial to it? And when we bring in the industry, obviously that industry is going to talk about their products only. So if suppose X industry comes to the university, the student will only learn that X product. I'll open the question to the whole panel here to come forward. And I think it's a beautiful point talking about regulations, where it is taking it, what role optometry has to now play both in dispensing and clinician. I open the forum and I request other seniors and other friends and even the panel here to bring in more thoughts on this.
I have a point. I would like to ask the corporates over here, because as far as I'm a contact lens faculty as well as a faculty for dispensing optics. So when it comes to contact lenses, there are so many MNCs who come forward and discuss about their product portfolio to the students. There's no harm. As a faculty, we are being very generic. We teach them the theoretical aspect or the optics behind behind how contact lens functions and stuff like that. But getting them exposed to certain brands and products is not a bad idea at all, because they walk out more confidently, because they know that a brand A has these many products under their portfolio, and they're much more confident that they're aware of such brands that are available in contact lenses. Likewise, I would also want the corporates in the dispensing sector to come forward and, conduct some training sessions to, discuss their products, or maybe conduct training session for educators and make them market aware of what are the products that are latest. Because I believe that as optometrists, we are better in dispensing, as recommendations need to come from our end. Like, for instance, we walk into a dentist clinic. As a patient, what do we ask? Doctor, can you suggest a very good toothpaste? If he says brand X, all that we do is go to the pharmacy and just ask for brand X because your doctor has recommended. No matter what the pharmacist tries to convey and says this is brand B is better or brand Z is better, we still stick to brand X. Why? Because that's what my dentist has recommended. So that recommendation part needs to come from the optometrist, because we are better placed. We understand the optics or the theory behind it. If I recommend that it's a child who is walking in and I feel that a particular frame material is going to be good for the child, I place the recommendation because I keep the health in, as a priority. So when I place a recommendation, person who walks out, goes to the front desk, they are more confident. Yes, my optometrist recommended this and this is what I want. They're very clear about it. If you as an optometrist are unaware as to what is available, which is a hypoallergenic material or which is good for a pediatric population or what you need to do, then there becomes a disconnect. So I think as optometrists, we make better dispensing opticians than vice versa for sure. So that's my point. Anant Lakshmi from Epilog, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah.
Anant,
So,
you would like to add, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I've been, sorry, I got disconnected. Just to add on, one, when you're actually looking, I understand what Anita was trying to say. I perfectly agree with her. I think as optometrists, we are the champions in terms of prescribing the right solutions to our patients. So when you're looking at prescribing the right recommendations, you should be equally competent both in spectacles as well as in contact lenses. I think today contact lenses we are well versed. In terms of spectacle lenses, things are evolving. The industry is evolving at a greater length, and we need to be very in terms of understanding the trends, and we need to be updated. So that is where, as industries, we can help you to bring about the latest trends, what is exactly happening in the world of dispensing. And that is where we can liaise with you. And just to give you a snapshot of how industry is actually liaising with the schools, one is basically on the products, and second on the dispensing platform also. So if you look at the dispensing sessions, which we actually collaborate with the schools, we actually join hands with the faculties to bring in the latest things to the table of the students, and also bring in a lot of initiatives. For example, in fact, in terms of the World Optometry Day, World Sight Day, we have a lot of other initiatives which can actually trigger the mind of young people in terms of dispensing. So we need to be more creative and ignite the mind of the students in respect to dispensing. I think as an optometrist, we can do from A to Z in dispensing.
Yeah. So here, I think we must understand. You were into academia, and you understand this. Which semester this dispensing subject are being taught? Which semester? Semester 2 or 3 or 4?
Third or fourth semester.
Third semester. And which semester contact lens are being taught?
5th and 6th.
5th and 6th. When students are going to pass, I mean, in the phase of, going out, passing out. So that is why that is fresh in their brain, in their mind. Oh, contact lens, and that is something new. And dispensing, they have learned when they were in second year. Now they have come, it is 1.5 years now, and they don't want to relearn that thing. I think there is a mismatch in the curriculum itself. So I think this should also be introduced in a later stage.
Wonderful idea. I think internships. What about your idea in internship?
Yes,
Wonderful
sir.
idea. I think Ajay, you
Yes.
brought forward, because in internship the curriculum is all hospital focused.
Correct.
And by the time they are in fourth year, they are taught everything about LASIK, cataracts and chalazions and optic
Absolutely.
atrophy, but they are
Yes.
totally missing on the dispensing.
Yes, sir. How can hospitals integrate this subject while students are doing internship over there?
I think that's more to deliberate. Anybody to take in this?
Yeah, maybe you should
Malika.
make of the 1 year internship in a bachelor's program, maybe 2 months of a certain period, maybe a 2 months of internship should be compulsory dispensing.
Yes,
Yeah,
good.
at least
Another idea.
What Ajay is saying.
Yeah,
I would
Yashwant has
suggest-
an
I have
idea
to say
because
this.
he's
There is entire restructuring which is required as far as dispensing subject is concerned. As we have already said that we are learning dispensing in the second year, but why not let's split the from basic to the advanced in second year, third year and the final internship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we need to move from a basic to the advance of dispensing optics from second year onwards, and we should introduce the concept thoroughly, comprehensively to the students from second year and then third year and then fourth year.
excellent.
All 3 years require their posting in the optical shops, not
Yashwant?
only the internship.
I think
Yes.
Yashwant is also raising hand to add.
Yes,
Yeah, and just one
Yashwant.
more point I will add, and then
Sure.
and that hospital thing is being raised. All hospitals which are running the optometry programs essentially have optical shops. So they usually all have optical shops. So they give emphasis on posting students into outreach programs. They focus on to refractions. They focus on to clinics. They focus on to even OTs, operation theaters. They tell them how to sterilize an OT, you know.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
yeah, and then why not post them 1 or 2 months every year, second year, third year and fourth year into optical shops, and they can relate what they are learning. So this is what I wanted to say.
Yes, I think third and fourth year is very, very crucial and very, very important. And an institute should start emphasizing it from third year onwards.
Yeah, second,
I
third
think
year
Yashwant
story,
sir wanted to say something.
fourth year is
Yeah,
totally, they should be told all commercials about dispensing optics in the fourth year, final year.
Yeah,
I have to mention this, that Ajay Mishra is a real life example of what optical dispensing internship can do to a person. Ajay, I'm taking the liberty of saying this, that you turn from zero to hero with just a couple of months of internship. And today I truly believe that Ajay Mishra is one of the best dispensing optician or dispenser in India.
Thank you, sir. And I still believe that I am a zero. Only thing is, zero जिसके पीछे लग जाता है उसकी value 10 times बढ़ाता है.
One point I want to add, which will get missed out, that of the 15,000 crore plus Indian eye care and eyewear industry, as much as 75% is sitting in primary care and largely in spectacles. So whether we are, when we are young, as some of us have said, we want to wear that white coat and feel like clinicians. I also made that mistake in my first 5-7 years of career. I never sold a single pair of spectacles. Now, in hindsight, if I had done that, I would have been like Ajit Bhardwaj, who are owning 10-15 stores by now. So I would urge all the young people who are listening here that dispensing is actually an art and a science, and each spectacle, each customer is different. I myself have 7-8 pairs of glasses, which are all uniquely different. So it is a skill. It is. You don't need to feel, that you are a salesman. In fact, I'll just quote one last point and hand it over to others. In the year 1998, imagine we are in I had spent a couple of weeks with Dr. Satya Verma. Everybody knows him. I don't need to say who he is. In his clinic in Pennsylvania. And to my surprise, when customers or patients came in, he himself, though he had staff, he physically helped, like Yashwant has been saying and some of our other colleagues, he physically helped the customers who came, patients who came there, even in the dispensary, in the retail area, to select frame and lens. And I was very surprised, and I asked him, sir, you are a OD and professor and all that. Why are you doing this frame and lens thing? He said, Sujay, there is no, this generates the maximum revenue, and there is a certain skill and knowledge, and the customer, the salesman will only look at sale. But I will give a finishing touch to it, like what Yashwant and some of the other colleagues have said, and even in my old clinics we used to do. So I think dispensing is here to stay, and it is going to generate a lot of revenue, and a lot of people will need glasses. My daughter, who's 8 years old, already has glasses. My son, who's in the 8th standard, already wears glasses. So it's a big thing. I think optometrists should take this very seriously and find one way or the other, LBV or OCI or whichever way, or Hoya, etc., to upgrade their skills and be at the tipping edge of dispensing. You can't ignore that field at all. Because money matters.
I'll just add one
see,
sentence.
yes.
Sorry. In US, the law is that in an optical dispensary, an optometrist cannot sit in the same premises and practice. In India, such law does not exist. So you earn the revenue until this law comes in. This is your opportunity. It will go one day. Make use of it.
Such a big clinician to leading as an academician in Rivoli chains. Rizwana, we see some comment from you. Why don't you come forward and please put that to everybody?
Oh, ma'am, thank you. Sorry, I mean, I'm not well dressed, but yeah. So I was a clinician for a long time in a very, very safe academic environment. But now, right now, getting out into the retail, especially Ajay Mishra is my great inspiration as a thank you, sir. As a how you can grow in the world of dispensing, and so I see that what we learn and what we really see out in the real world, there's a great disconnect. That's one thing that I observed in the first couple of months. And as a recruiter, when we are interviewing candidates now, we do see that, yes, they do know the basic core components of dispensing, but when it comes to are they being relevant to the market, are they being relevant to the industry, as can they really showcase their skills as successful optometrists who can handle the customer right out there, the consumer who's already read everything and then who's coming prepared and asking so many questions. I mean, that's where I think these kids are really feeling lost. So definitely practical experience workshops where all the industry can come in. I mean, of course, I don't see any fight for brands because each brand has their own unique product. And then these designs are very relevant. And that's how the brands are innovating. And these innovation is so exploratory in nature that like artificial intelligence and vision science, we see these products and even the centration equipments that can sort of, twist the whole dispensing process. I don't see that now being integrated in the curriculum as much as the advancement is happening on the dispensing end. So I think it's time that we take this as a dire sort of, a requirement in the curriculum, because otherwise the product that we are sending out after 4 years, they are really struggling outside. So I think it's time that we prepare them well so they really have a successful career, in as entrepreneurs as well as optometrists out there in the industry.
Mr. Ajit Bhardwaj again commented he's in the panel and he missed that. He would like to talk something. We have you, and then I think we can wind up because each one has a practice. Mr. Ajit.
What I strongly feel is important is, and which is lacking in India, is there's no interaction between industry and academics. And at what level I want to see it to happen is this, that I've been in the field and I see the industry, health industry and optical industry changing very fast. And our curriculum doesn't change. As a result, what students learn does not stay relevant when they come out of the field, come out of the institutions. So what we as professionals, particularly involved in the regulation, need to understand that industry plays an important role, and their far sight is much more focused on the future. and they need to be involved in curriculum building of particularly healthcare professions, where the interaction of people like optometry particularly, because we are a profession where we are more in contact with the patient as compared to other professionals, and this has never been done in past, and I think if we can make note of this, and same time, even if it is because our curriculum changes like maybe once in 10 years, and industry requirement changes maybe every 2 years, so that we need to see as at a different, at a, maybe ministry level, or it has to be looked into more detail. Second thing, what I see is just that for optometrists understand that after doing 4 years, if you ask them to do dispensing, they feel, it is not their worth. They have done much, much better. They have better patients or better, reputation in the shop, or better reputation as a clinician than as a dispensing optician. But what I want to tell you, being in the field, is just that your bread and butter is going to come from dispensing. You may create a niche for you, you may create a, specialty practice around it, but you need to see that you must have a sound knowledge of dispensing, and for that, even the industries need to not only just talk about the product, but what they need to do is just that they need to focus on institutions and build kind of infrastructure around the universities. I see most universities, they lack dispensing infrastructure. But when you go and talk about the product without infrastructure, it doesn't make sense. And that's the difference which I see how industry invest in US schools of optometry, because they build departments. I've seen, go to any of the private university in US, private optometry school in US. Most of the schools, they are optical department, their contact lens division, their refraction division is sponsored by industry, which I rarely see. I maybe accept, maybe Bosch and Lomb once did, building a Bosch and Lomb school of optometry, but after that I have not seen. What happens is this, it happens in very piecemeal work, whereby industry comes and they just give one day lecture, you talk about product and you forget. That's not the way, because industry needs to invest for long time in optometry. They get so divided whether to go to opticians, whether to go to, because most of the purchasing power of industry is in the hand of opticians. As a result, they focus on training more opticians, but they need to see that the future of dispensing will be in the hands of optometry to some level, because you will see that with the AHP law coming in, you will see a lot of changes, and most of the recommendations now, which used to happen at the optician level, you will need to change to dispensing in the clinics of optometrists. So industry need to play a vital role, and that basic basis is what I feel is different. And if that basic changes, things will change for the country and for the whole profession and for the
Many of
whole.
the industry heads are here in this audience simply because they're also keen to help, but we need to formulate a way to help. And Learn Beyond Vision, of course, it's a small initiative. It's an initiative just to give back something, what we have learned, or we can help. Obviously, the command has to go back to the universities and they have to lead. But yes, Learn Beyond Vision is very keen to work with the industries and the academicians and the whole forum where we can bring in up. So what has not been taught, if we can make cover up something so that the student gains an advantage.
What I strongly feel here is this, that I see so many optometry and optical teaching platform emerging in recent 2 years, and it is very encouraging and very nice for us to see that development, which was not happening in earlier. But what I feel is just that, like organization like yours, LBV, IOA doing the iGurukul, and IVI teaching something, OCI is playing its own role. Uh, and sometimes there's a lot of repetition that goes around the same subject. So I think if all those involved in imparting this education, if they
Structure
can
it
have
out
a
better.
joint, meeting together, your specialty is this, you focus on this, and third, somebody else who is specialized in something else, people will like to attend to something which is making more meaning to them, rather than sometimes I see there is a waste of time at certain organizations, and people feel discouraged that it's going to be waste of time, and they don't even join in. So I would suggest that let's focus on quality education at the same time,
and in a structured way.
In a structured way.
Thank you to each and every one of you. This has been very inspiring and very motivating to me and also to the audience. Some of my friends who had joined in, they said that this is very thought-provoking. And we just hope that we work and polish in this specialty to make the most out of it. It was such an energized discussion, and we are very happy and lucky to have you mentors around with us. Thank you so much, all of you, each one of you, for making us have this great time.
Yes, on behalf of Learn Beyond Vision, I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, especially our panelists who took their time out. I can already see Yashwant with his mask on. I'm sure his patients are waiting to grab him from the meeting over here. So thank you so much, each one of you, for sparing your valuable time and coming to the takeaway point. Dispensing Optics is here to stay, and it is only going to be expanding more and more in the coming years. So for all you students who feel intimidated that, how can I compete with the major optical giants or optical outlets if I have to open mine tomorrow? You don't have to be, because you have your place and they have their place, like how Yashwant had put it across. So each one of us have our role to play. We as clinicians come dispensers will have a better role. Like I mentioned earlier also, recommendations are the key or the strengths of the optometrist. Of course, from the corporate sector, we also got to know that we need to polish our communication skills and imbibe the culture of the organization, and that is what the 1-month training is being imparted for. So thank you so much for each one of you for giving your valuable inputs and making this meeting a grand success. And I have a small announcement to make from Learn Beyond Vision. We are launching a course on spectacle dispensing. This is again a course which is not meant to be taking you through the theory and optics of lenses and frames, but it is a course which is going to upgrade your knowledge and skills, which is beyond the optometry curriculum, to make you practice ready and make you confident in the art of spectacle dispensing. So I hope for all those who are looking forward to a course which is going to polish your skills in dispensing optics, to take up this course. We would be happy to offer this for students at a 50% discount too. So it's me here, Anita, signing off, and thank you once again, each one of you, for having joined us today.